afternoon. Welcome to the Desi Sportscast, and it's a very special one. It's a warm welcome, as always, to Nevin, but even warmer welcome to Rohan Sharma, the owner of Odisha FC. Rohan, welcome to the show. How are you?
I mean, last time I was on here, that was a totally different feeling than I was this time. I mean, last time I was like borderline cocky. This time, like, I'm a little bit just pissed off and annoyed, but whatever. I'm not pissed off seeing you guys, of course, but just in general.
Thank you for clarifying, because
I was going to say,
I'm like, how dare you come talk to me right now? No,
because
I was going to see you guys.
I was a little upset, Bharat. You know, I've been with your podcast for good 2 years now, and you've just said, Rohan is more important. I'm a little offended here.
No, I didn't say it's always want to see you, but Rohan, it's fantastic to have you back on the show. Like
Absolutely,
you say,
I appreciate
it's
it,
been almost a year since we spoke, and a lot has happened. I don't even know where to start, but I think the obvious place is how are you and the family, and how's the past year been on that side in terms of the pandemic? And
my family's okay. I mean, yeah, my mom and dad got the vax. They got the Pfizer.
Fantastic.
So they're all good to go. I'm trying to see how I can get, because Dubai's a little bit more loose with who gets the vaccine and who doesn't get the vaccine. So I'm trying to see if I can get it too, because I want to get back to India, man. I didn't want to. I mean, even this year, I didn't want to stay here. And we'll get into, when you ask me probably at some point down the road, you're gonna ask me what went wrong. I think one of the big reasons it went wrong is I wasn't there, and when you're not there, it's a lot more challenging, and there's a vacuum leadership. So I want to get the jab as soon as possible so I can get down there. I want Raj to come down there too, so we can all start, getting things started again, so we can repeat what happened this year. But family-wise is good. Hope your guys' family is everything okay. We always want to make sure everybody's healthy. And you guys look like you both lost weight, I think, honestly, since last time I saw you in a year. You guys been stressed out?
I've gained weight, but due to stress, I guess. Just been eating whatever comes my way.
All right.
I've
been there.
Yeah, as you probably know, Leicester's not been out of lockdown since day one. I know parts of England came out. We've been in tier 3 or tier 5 from the get-go. Things are starting to open up from tomorrow. But a lot of people from the UK use Dubai as a holiday destination over Christmas.
I'm so mad about that.
I was going to say,
we increased we had a really reasonable amount of cases, and it was like to the point where, okay, it wasn't like you had to be locked down anymore. You could walk out, and I felt comfortable walking out. When the UK buses left, it was like 4 times as much cases. So we went from like 800 to 700 a day to 4,000. And I was like, duh. I mean, what would you think was going to happen? They're like, we can't figure out why suddenly these cases have increased, and we think it's because restaurants and hotels are lax. I'm like, I don't know. I could have been, maybe you let everybody into the country for a 2-month period, but I don't want them to hear me and then kick me out. But I mean, at the same time, I'm annoyed that kind of happened. I mean, it kind of sucked, and now again, I'm in kind of more within the house. I haven't left the house much again because I don't want to risk it.
Yeah, and it was unusual that Dubai was allowing so many Brits to come in when we were classed as red pretty much everywhere else in the world, and still are. But yes, absolutely.
Money rules the world, baby. Money rules the world.
Yes, and it was the influencers and the famous that were coming there. But there you go. This pandemic affects everybody. But has the lockdown enabled you to expand your trainer sneaker collection?
Not really, because I'm trying to save up now. I was in a pandemic. I don't really want to spend. I feel it's a little gauche buying sneakers. Some people are really struggling, and the team was doing bad too. So I didn't want to listen. I usually buy sneakers on in a good place. I want to maybe in the summer again. Summer's coming around. I'll go back to collecting. But for now, I kept a pause on that. Started to save in case we have to buy another player this season, so I can throw my in case you never know. Actually, that extra cash might come in handy when I want a new player, but let's see. But
well, I was just interested because of the spending you did last summer, and I didn't know if there was any spare change left for you to.
The funny thing is that I guess now, because our chairman has been now more pushing us to spend more this year, so I don't. The thing is, people assume we don't spend a lot, and I'm sure relatively, of course, to the top 2 teams, we don't spend nearly as much of what they're spending because we want to follow the cap rules. But We, but we also didn't want to. We usually spend like a mid, I would say probably in the second half level of that table. And especially this year, we spend a pretty decent amount of money. And I think this year, I think we'll probably even spend a little bit more. And I'm looking at the finances of how much we're spending. Last year was a little bit more than the year before, and I think this year probably a lot more because I know that we've had a mandate we can't repeat what happened this season again. So I know that, and I'll tell you, we were very aggressive in the winter market. We were trying to get players, and I was offering stupid transfer fees. That if your eyebrows would raise for the transfer fees I was offering for certain players, and I was rivaling CFG. I thought being CFG for one player, Mumbai City. I should stop saying CFG. I was offering Mumbai City for one player, and the club still said no. And I think this is a really interesting turn of events I realize now in the ISL. That means that people are very much smarter about players. And I think people have now realized that there's such a minority of elite Indian players that the people they do have, they're not willing to part with them. And I think that's creating, is making things a little more savvier. The players are smarter. They know that they want to play for a project rather than the most highest bidder. And B, clubs are now seeing the value of how good Indian players can really make the difference. But frankly speaking, I still think that this year, I think it was probably one of the, Hyderabad aside, I think it was one of the more down years for Indian players. I would say maybe I'm being controversial saying that, but this year there wasn't, in the last couple of years, Indian players were still like scoring in bunches. The year before that, I mean, you can still see some good things. And this year, because of the pandemic, really because of a shortened season, outside of, again, like saying Hyderabad had a really good squad this year in terms of Indian players. I didn't see that many Indian players shining. Of course, Tapa and Apuya were, of course, class as always. You can say there's underrated guys like Ashutosh who did really well this season, and of course Arindam, they did well. But I didn't see like that killer side of Indian player. Of course, my boy Jerry, who I don't know if we'll talk about him, which I do if we do. I have thoughts, but of course Jerry played well. But it wasn't the same level of consistency that you saw last year. If you watched the league, I mean, you guys watched the season last year. I felt it was a lot more consistent from the Indian players. This year was very, and then I know I'm on a podcast, so if you hear, I'm doing like a roller coaster. So if you're hearing this, I'm not just moaning in your ear. But yeah, it's things like that. But I'm hoping now, hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen next year if there's going to be another bubble. Hopefully not. Things will get a little better, and then now you'll see more Indian players, taking the next step.
Before I hand over to Nevin, this time last year, you were preparing for the new season. You're bringing a lot of young Indian talent in. And when we last spoke, you were in the hunt or in the final four for a new coach. It seems to have come to a full circle, unfortunately. But in terms of where you were last year in preparation, how much did the lockdown upset your plans? Obviously, we're going to talk about what happened in the season as well. But how much did that upset your plans? Because you were building something special there, or are still building something special.
I think the only thing that really hurt was the on-the-ground stuff, like doing things on technical level. Do I think that if it was a COVID-free year, would things have probably gone better? Possibly. I mean, anything is, we can all pontificate what could have happened in the past. I do think if we had a full off season, it might have helped a little bit more, but I still think, I think I looked for the wrong things when I was looking for the hiring, which I thought were smart at the time. All the post-match comments aside for 1 second, and that's a big part of everything, but what I realized close to halfway through the season and after that, January, that our identity of the club was getting kind of tarnished, not because of, coach, losing all that. I mean, that happens in games. You can always say, things happen and, it's the first year of a coach. You never know. And even Man U, when they hired Solak or Solchek, I can't pronounce the last name. So the first year was kind of a mess. And then they were like, oh, should we fire him? And then now he's like, everybody, I mean, I think you're a Man U. Are you a Man U fan or Liverpool fan? Are you a Liverpool or Man U fan?
I'm a Chelsea fan.
Oh, really? You're a Chelsea fan? I thought you were one of those. Okay, never mind. So never mind. Ignore that then. Strike that from the record. But then now he's been doing a lot better. And okay, you could say that, okay, maybe this happens because, when coach came in, he's coming in cold. They didn't have this thing, that thing. They didn't have the free freeze. And maybe you want to see him next year, see how he does. But then you're seeing things like, Indian players not getting game time. The players that were really good last year have taken a real dive. And then you're thinking, wait, what's going on here? I mean, these are the same players that last year almost got you to the playoff top 4 finish. Now suddenly they're on the bench. They're not even getting game time. The young players on the team are not getting game time. And then the things that you talk about in the media, the things that you say and what you've done for the last 3-4 years are suddenly getting undermined by this. And that becomes like an issue. And maybe maybe it would have, and I saw, and one of the things that kind of almost pissed me off was the last game, because I saw the guys play. Of course, dead rubber games, things always get chaotic. Last year was a 4-4 against Kerala. This year was a 6-5. And, things always happen like that. It's all offense, no defense kind of thing. But, Paul played really, really good, right? And then something like, why was this guy not playing all the time? Why was suddenly even he playing with a lot more freedom and confidence? Why was, Jerry starting to score? Why was, I always felt that I felt that our bench was a lot better than what people were saying. I know even the coach at one point said he told me he think he won the worst benches in the league, and I said that can't be right, because East Bengal is sitting right there, and another is for East Bengal, but they put together the whole season in a month, and we have Nanda and Shubham on your bench. Premjit, who I think was really, I liked Premjit, and I thought Premjit could have been a really good, you put him in the 7th minute, 60th minute kind of thing, let him run, let him outpace the defense, and everybody's a little tired, adds a little value. And it just didn't happen. And for whatever reason, whether it was tactics, and to his credit, he may know the team better than me, and I'm sure he does, and he knows what fits his system. But I always felt, and what was told to me initially was that it wasn't going to be a system-based. Our system is going to be the system that it has to be down that way. What made Joseph a little successful was the fact that he built his system around the Indian players. And that's why I asked when I interviewed the coach, I was like, how are you going to do this? And he told me, no. I want to reinvent the wheel. You had a good system last year, just showing up the defense on set pieces. And other than that, you want to keep it kind of similar. And of course, that didn't happen. It was a complete, 180 from what happened. So, I don't know, even if he had made those, comments after the game, if he still would have been here. I would like to think we've had a talk with him and see what would have happened, because you obviously don't want to be changing coaches every year. And I don't want to do that. And I understand the first year is always hard. You never know what can happen. But of course, when you made those comments to me, I mean, in a position I couldn't keep him. So, I don't know. It made me really rethink of how I evaluate coaches. Really maybe tear up my notes and start again. I hired a CEO and Raj helped me out. So it's not like an echo chamber. We've hired a technical consultant, just someone local, to help us out. And if that goes well, become a technical director. And then we're also looking, as I said in the earlier part, looking for a club or someone to kind of help us on the foreign signing part, because I think outside of Diego and Cole, I think our foreign signings also let us down in a big way. And I'm just being blunt with it. I was really disappointed with the way that our foreign signings kind of panned out. And I thought in a vacuum they'd be a lot better. When Marcino's not getting game time, obviously that makes a big part. Anu was one of the classiest guys in the ISL, nicest person ever, but he kind of has Bangalore season again. And of course Diego couldn't put the team on his back every game. Cole was always he had the injury problems throughout, and then that made a big difference. And so and of course our defense was shambolic, and most goals ever left in the ISL history. I mean, when you sign someone like Steven Taylor, you expect that you're gonna have a solid defense. One way or the other, someone's going to be capped from the back. There was going to be no issues. Issues somewhat, but you had 2 foreign defenders, and Jacob was okay. He was, hit or miss, but he was still decent. But Steven couldn't have this. I think his age caught up to him, and I was surprised because he was the A-League team of the season last year as among the reserves. And I thought, okay, no way. You come back, have the experience, it didn't work out. So, it really means we really about how we do foreign players too. So, this year again is different. We're kind of back to the drawing board, and we've, the good thing is, the ISL every year is more and more popular. Good resumes, but this year I realized I don't want to. My 2 rules is I don't want a senior coach. Don't want a senior coach. Someone who's 70s, 60s, they're gonna have their own kind of ideas and what they want to do. They're not flexible. I think having a younger guy with academy experience always is the key thing in India. You look at all the minus Habas top 4 teams, and of course college amazing, but they have all youth experiences. They all been doing in youth academies for younger guys. They're more flexible. They're willing to build it. Yes, it comes with some kind of own problems where you have post-match, their own post-match issues. What they say in the media also comes with a little hit or miss, but I think they help the team a little bit more, and I think they have a better flexibility, which is really important. And the second is the more names you get when it comes to these things, it doesn't really matter in Indian football. You mean I thought at the beginning of the season the best coach outside of who's Mumbai's coach again? Lover, yeah. Outside of him, I thought we had the best coach in the thing. I mean, he came after a really good AFCON tournament and all the experience in the world, knows how to deal with these things. Was on the youth team of National of England, and then what happened. So it has to be someone. And I think I do want to go back to that Spanish system. I think the boys played better with that. I spoke to the boys after the season, what they went wrong, what went right. And they told me I think we played better in that system. We liked the Spanish that we came to a new system. It wasn't for us, and yeah, that was my bad. So I think that it kind of was a learning curve, a very unfortunate learning curve I had to take. And as a fan, I'm sure, right, you're a fan, you wouldn't like that as a learning curve for us, but at least I know now what I'm looking for completely, and I'm really being more stricter. Even my interviews, I'm not gonna let just have they gave presentations, but I'm not doing that this year. I'm gonna make every coach give me a video breakdown. I'm gonna go on Zoom, tell me we're gonna put a game up, tell me what you would do, tell me what you would change. This is we're gonna get to the really nitty gritty of it because I don't want to have this mistake and I know Nevin to a certain extent. I don't want this Kerala Blasters, but I don't want to become like Kerala Blasters where you have I don't know how many 9 coaches, 8 coaches, 10 coaches. I don't want to have that many coaches in so many years. It hurts the club, it hurts the growth, it hurts everything else, and that's what the shitty part of the whole. Sorry, I don't know if you'll cuss. The crappy part of the whole thing about this whole scenario. So I don't know. I'm hoping that again, this year it gets better, and I think every time you lose, you learn something. And my biggest fear is that the club is. I know it's a new club. I don't consider Delhi Dynamos and Odisha the same. I seem totally separate entities, but. I don't want to create the legacy of what happened towards mine in Delhi and Odisha because I thought at least we're on the right track because we're going up and we came to Odisha and then now we came back straight down again, low to me red. And I wanted to create that kind of reputation that we're doing this. Like you have someone like Goa who's consistent. Bangalore, okay, this year was down, but they were consistent. Of course, ATK and Mumbai now are going to probably be consistent. You want to create that consistency because I feel outside the first 2, you can definitely get in the 3 and 4 range and it's possible. I mean, Northeast did it this year. Hyderabad turned around in less than a year. It's possible. In Indian football, it's all possible. So I don't want us to be our legacy of doing things like that. And I hope that we are able to turn around. And now that's why I'm taking myself less of this sort of authority, taking your ego out of it and saying, let me have help. Because the more people you have who have experience in football to challenge you, it creates this less of an echo chamber of, talking to 2 people and moving on. Now more people challenging me and saying, Rohan, I think this is wrong. This is what we shouldn't do. That helps. That way I'm able to at least have enough people tell me, okay, we talked to this coach. This is why I think it's bad. This is why I think we should have done this. Maybe we should think, I like this guy more. And I want to have more of this committee rather than me being like, Donald Trump by the whole thing and saying, this is my way or the highway. And I wasn't like that, but I didn't have enough people challenging me. And that was the issue. So if my head made sense, I'm like, all right, it makes sense to me, check mark. And if I have someone like Raj last year saying, Rohan, doesn't really make sense to have an English coach after a few years of Spanish coaches, then I'm like, oh, maybe that does make a difference. And that's what I think should have happened. And now I think I'm hopefully now kind of hoping that doesn't go back in that skid again, because I don't want to be last place. I don't want to be in bottom 5 again. I want to be top 4, and I still believe that I have a good Indian squad. I maintain that I still have a good Indian squad. I've seen good things from them. Just needing the right training, and they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about interviewing Rohan is that he answers the questions without us having to ask the questions. So I can written it down. One of my questions was, I remember you talking to us last year, and what you insisted while you were looking for the coach was the fact that you wanted a coach that adapts to situations and not a fixed ideology or fixed formation. And that's what we saw with Gombao. He had a 4-3-3 and he also sort of relied on the wings, and the other team had an identity. So looking back, do you regret that decision? Or I know you've pretty much answered that question, but
yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, I actually spoke to Joseph a couple of weeks ago. I called him just not to talk about the job, but just to ask him because nobody knows the team better than Joseph outside of me, I would say. And he was like, "I've been watching the games." I was like, "I was watching the games," and he told me that I would have if I knew that you were in the bubble this year, and because he got a job at Queensborough FC, and that's why he left because he got a job in the US. I'm not, I'm not gonna tell him, convert to US. In New York City, I love Odisha, but New York City is New York City, So he told me if I knew that my league was starting, I would have came back for one more year. That always makes me feel good that someone who came in, and I like Joseph, and I still respect Joseph for everything. Um, him aside, if I didn't have it, the problem was I don't know if it was a pool I was surfing in or fishing in, but even my final three wasn't anybody Spanish, and the Spanish coach I even spoke to Juan Fernando, and it was a fine conversation. I still don't regret not hiring him, even though he's a good coach. I like him. He seems to be doing a good job of going. I know I'm sure Akshay and Ravi and all these guys love him. At the time, I just couldn't gel with him, not because of anything wrong he said. I just didn't feel it. But I didn't have any Spanish coaches on my final three. I had a Croatian coach Croatian coach, and I had one Brazilian coach in my final three outside of Coach Baxter. If I could do it again, obviously I would try to look again. I would try to find a more deeper to find a Spanish coach. I tried my best. Like I said, I interviewed 30 coaches. I interviewed a lot of coaches. I just couldn't find the right guy. I don't know. I mean, obviously I would like to do it again, but at the same time, maybe if I maybe applied for his visa, maybe 3 months, as soon as he got it, apply for his visa. So there was no visa issue, and maybe he'd come to India earlier and start doing training with the boys. Maybe that would have helped. I don't know. I at the time I felt confident with my decision. I still felt confident. As I think about my last three, I do think the other guy couldn't come later. My secretary was a Brazilian coach. He couldn't come until very later because the league he was in Thailand was running still a little bit later. So I don't regret it per se, the choice I had, but I think I should have really paid more attention to the Spanish side of things. I think I should have not been as glib. I thought, the boys are, adaptive. It's a lot of new I-League kids coming in. The boys could understand a little bit more when you have an English coach, because sometimes I know with Spanish speaking coaches, sometimes it makes a difference communication wise. I was having an English coach might help a little bit more, because I did still feel, even though we were a good team last year, but we still had the same mistakes kind of last year. Set piece, defense. We still scored a little bit more this year too as well. We scored most, I don't know if they're saying a little bit more, probably a little more last year, but we still scored. We weren't like, going on goal droughts or anything, but I just felt that it wasn't like we were comfortably on top. We were close. Ardan got hurt, we came back, but still it wasn't enough. You know what I mean? If it was like we were top 4 last year and I did this, it would have been different, but we were still 6 at the end of the season. So I thought, okay, does it really still make sense to do it? I mean, it wasn't like we were, really far away within London making a radical change. I thought, okay, 6, okay, let's just go for it, see what happens. And I guess that still made a difference in the end. But I guess in all my ramblings, I still would say, to answer your question, I still probably, out of the choice I had, I still wouldn't have changed it. I think I still have done something strategically a little bit different, less casual, like visas and stuff, trying to do my best to make sure you come earlier as possible to kind of, make the impact you could. I also do think, I should have, while I do like Steven Diaz, Coach Steven Diaz is a good guy, did an excellent, I'm so proud of him for getting his first win. I think having an Indian coach coming in who had a little more experience would have helped a little bit more, because, I do like, and again, Steven's a good guy. He's still coming to the game. He's coming to the coaching. I mean, he has all that, world experience, but player experience, but it makes a difference when you're coming to a club scenario, especially when you have the coach is not really there and you have just by yourself. It's still a bit harder to come up with the fitness plans by yourself, doing all this rigmarole that you would need to do as a coach. Maybe I should have had him have another Indian coach just to help him out for this year. They'll let him take over, but to his credit, he still got more, same equal amount of games won as Hester Baxter and all his experience. But I think that does make a difference. I think on a preseason wise, it makes a difference.
For me, personally, as a journalist, this is a season where I've actually heard a lot of people talk about sustainability of teams. A lot of people are saying, oh no, suddenly Parth Jindal came out and said, we're making a lot of loss. And I was like, yeah, I mean, wasn't this the same reason why Rohan sort of shifted from Delhi to Odisha, that the sustainability has always been an issue. Has there been any talks, are like owners talking to each other? Because this is now starting to become a little worrying as well, right?
I mean, it is. How do I put this? I'm trying to put this, I'm usually not very political, but I have to be a little political here. Listen, I'm glad, let me just say this way. I'm glad that some of the more senior owners are coming out saying this, because when I say it, it's a little bit different. When someone like Parth says it, people pay more attention. And I'm sure he got into trouble for what he did say, because I know people upstairs will not like that he went very public with it. So I was talking to one of your counterparts on a different kind of I think podcast or something, and they mentioned to me, no, I have to 420 grams about the season. They told me that one of my talks I did in Delhi at FICCI, where I gave a detail why I think the financial system of the ISL is flawed. Again, really detailed analysis of what I think is wrong, how I would improve it. It got removed from YouTube, and I thought that was interesting. And I think it's gotten better, but it's still not there yet. I do think that, listen, I don't think people are going to close shop yet. I think that there's going to be a point where, see, my whole thing is, to me, the sustainability of the league, and this is going to be kind of weird to say, obviously we need more incoming in, we have a sponsorship, that all makes a big part. Where I think there'll be a breaking point is if they remove the salary cap. To me, this is where this will be a line in the sand, where owners will realize, okay, what are we doing this for? Because for me, I'm saying for me a lot. I think for a lot of clubs, the salary cap is good because it has accountability. It's not creating this kind of dirt. One thing I always liked about the ISL is that you have stores like Hyderabad, you have stores like Northeast, that you can come in one year and you're in top 4, and you never know, right? I mean, they're tied with, both of them are tied with their counterparts right now, Mumbai and ETK. Goa's tied with Mumbai, and Northeast had a really good, managed to pull a really good game against. And it creates these stories. You could call it now recently a hot coach. Now that you wouldn't have had that if this was a salary cap free league. You're creating parity. I love that. You don't want to, if we're trying to get Indian fans into Indian football, which we still know it's a majorly uphill battle. Yes, it's improved now. Yes, but we're still weak. We're not showing games as much in the UK as well. We're not showing games internationally. In Dubai, I can't watch it unless it's in Malayalam. I can't watch it in Star Sports streams. I mean, it's hard. There's somebody watching it here in UAE and GCC, which is a big expat thing. We're still, and even India, we still have, outside of Kerala and the hot spots, Goa, Kolkata, we're still growing the views. I mean, Mumbai, for all its thing, I don't know if maybe it would have been better, but we still know Mumbai has one of the lowest attendance, and even before even the people make fun of me, but Mumbai consistently has lower attendance than even Delhi and Mumbai, Delhi and Odisha and historically. But we're still trying to grow it. And if we start doing things like remove the salary cap, I know that the logic is, but in the AFC, we're going to do so much better because now we'll have a better class of player against their players. So I'm thinking, no, that's not going to be true, because the AFC's strength is because their national players in Uzbekistan, Iran, China, Korea, Japan, Thailand, UAE, Saudi, they're way better than Indian players. So you have 3+1, but okay, then what are you going to do? After those 3 guys, you can have Ronaldo, Messi, and Mbappe, but it doesn't mean anything. Who's going to pass them on your team, And so I don't want that to be the crying causing that we want to be better in AFC Champions League and that will get more Indian fans. I don't think so at all. You'll get still smoked, because even if you have 4 good foreigners, your national team players will get better. If we try to push like we did, like China has done, and look how it came out. China is their best team is folding. They won the league last year. They've already they put the salary cap back on. You don't want that. You don't want that just for 2 teams to succeed and then the other 9 to suffer. And I don't think that makes sense in a vacuum. I don't think it makes sense to develop in the league. It certainly doesn't make sense to develop of Indian players, because right now clubs are at least trying to put Indian players, like good Indian players, and you're getting the opportunity to play. And right now the foreign players are at the level of the Indian players. Not when I say that, I don't mean they're playing at the same level, but you can have someone like Aridon come in and talk. You see someone like Diego hug Jerry, work with Jerry, doing something like that. You have someone who's like a La Liga, bottom tier La Liga player or championship level player. You have this kind of attitude, and it happens with foreign players. I'll be honest, I've seen it this year. I won't name names, but I've seen it this year. I've seen it, in my history in ISL. You get someone too big, forget it. They're not going to want to. They don't care about the Indian players. They want to get that check and hopefully go to another club after this. I think if they do they remove the salary cap, which I'm worried. There's been a lot of talk about it internally, which kind of concerns me. I think a lot of clubs will want to probably shut down, and I even myself included. Why would I want to invest in something where I know I'm going to be in the bottom tier? And even though I want to invest in Indian players and do well, I might as well start an academy instead. Let me just do that then. If let me spend my time doing that rather than have a club that I'm just putting millions and millions of dollars each year, and just for what? I mean, at the end of the day, we're doing it, but we want to win as well, right? We don't want to be a loser club every time. But for now, from what I've heard, it doesn't seem like many clubs. I mean, clubs are trying to, of course, everybody wants to sell some stake. I'm a 100% owner. Even I would like to have somebody come in But I want either a good business partner or a club to come in to really who knows what they're doing rather than just selling it to some Odia CEO. I'd rather have it someone who can come in and really help elevate the product, not just keep it at the same level. But yeah, man, it's tough. I'm glad that Parks is saying it. It's about time more of these owners say it. I know Parks not the only owner in the league who is not just he's not publicly. I mean, Parks said publicly. I've said publicly in the past too myself. I've said to the league, and has really nothing happened. But if I tell you, if you remove league fees, a lot more clubs will be closer to making, at least breaking even. I would say a lot more. We'd be close to breaking even. But listen, I understand that we're part of the league. It's part of this thing, but we have to grow and adapt. At the end of the day, we want the clubs to survive. So I'm hoping things change.
With the league fees and the income from the TV, how it's shared, do you think it is sustainable? Or it needs to be changed at that level? I understand the salary cap, and I agree with you on that one.
No, I think it's at a level where, okay, I wouldn't say it's not sustainable because we're all still here, right? Nobody has only, Pune had their issues. I moved because of, I told the last podcast, so a lot of different things. Yes, financially was an issue, but also there was a whole lot of softer issues as well. Listen, I don't know. I don't know how much each club. I know probably a rough figure in my head how much clubs are spending. I know some other clubs are a little bit more delicate position because of the government. Like I said before, government plays a huge role in every club. And I learned this year. I learned that when I moved to Odisha last year. I've learned it from talking to other owners. I know even Parth had his issues with the Karnataka government, where they almost didn't have a stadium last year to play in. I even know that I know in Kerala also, I'm never correct me if I'm wrong. I think even Kerala had their issues with their government, and I know Kolkata and has their issues sometimes with theirs. That adds a lot to your bill, what you pay, because we don't own stadiums, right? And it's not like in the UK where everybody has their own stadium. Government's for like I heard Everton is building their own new stadium now. Tottenham has that brand new gorgeous stadium, state of the art. NFL helped pay the bill as well. So it's like they have this stuff where it's yours, and you're of course getting money from merchandising. It's huge. You're getting it from licensing your players all year round. And you know what? But I'll tell you this, guys. One the league. I don't want to spell too much of my trade secrets on the thing, meaning I don't want to what we're doing. But I realized now that Raj came in that we're also not doing a lot on it. We're not being creative on how we merchandise our stuff and how we sell our sponsorships as well. And Raj opened my eyes to a lot of the stuff you can do community-wise. I don't want to sound gross, but there's also a lot of money because of CSR to get involved in the community to get your money. I know Go is with the Force Foundation, Force to Go Foundation. I want to start what I've come up with tentatively is the Ama Odisha Foundation, which is our Odisha Foundation, which I want to start doing things where we do these things where we can have companies put in. So one thing is that and I've said this before, and I'm brings up again is the girls team. We have scouts at the currently going on with the Odisha women's tournament going on right now. We tried to get it to bring a team in there, but we had this. I was working with the government trying to figure out how the best way to do it because there's like an entry point. Do I want to take over a club? Do I want to have my own club? And I think now that I've told the government now a couple of different rounds, is I want to have our own club, and I think we're going to try to see if we can do the IWL directly. That's why I have people. We're just getting of course, it's always budgets. But if we hit a certain point, I do think that we can bring a girl team in this year. So I already have scouts in watching all those games right now. I have 2 scouts right now watching just to know who we should target if you're doing it. Same with our Residence Academy. We have the academy's done. I can move in tomorrow, but I was talking to our youth, and I was thinking we do it tomorrow. What are we doing? Are we just putting the players there just to train? I mean, the problem with being in Odisha is you don't have enough teams to play against. In Delhi, you had all these teams to play in Kerala, you was all these teams to play with. In Kolkata, forget it. In Odisha, you don't have that many, teams. So it creates a little bit more of a challenge. You have all this, beautiful fields to use. I think now 4 fields to use. I have all the pitch space I could want for my women's team, first team, the youth team. I could do whatever. It's just that now I don't have people to play against. So this makes sense to me to have bring clubs in. Maybe the government brings some clubs in, and we bring some of these guys from the Mining Pro League or the GPL or the KPL and bring them down here. We do these tournaments. Maybe that helps. Maybe that helps us, helps them. They get game time, we get game time. So I'm not playing the Arrows 8 times a year. It's good for them, good for us. But where am I going to? Who else going to play? So that creates a lot of issues. I do think these things help with sustainability. If you get more people involved with that, then people want to sponsor that. People put money in there, and that adds a lot to your bottom line. Your P&L goes up by doing these things, and of course, it attracts foreign sponsors. Right in the UK, you selling a scene now. You imagine if you're, I don't know, UK-based company, and you know that UK is a lot tighter. You know, and you know abroad better than anybody on this call does. But you know how much the Indian diaspora is in the UK, even in Leicester, and even in Watford, even in London. And these companies all have big guys now, and even the parliament in the ministry. There's so many people getting involved there, of course, from Indian nationality base. And then they see this, what's going on in Odisha, what's going on in Kerala, whatever. They will want to put that as goodwill. They want to put that as a CSR product. They want to put money in to help that grow. And the UK government can say, hey, this is what we're doing to help India. And then that creates that kind of national thing. There's a lot to be done there. And I think one thing I like about having Raj is he has, of course, connections, and people can talk and help him out. And that's what creates this, identity. Already, Roger's been on Sky Sports more time than I've seen any other team be on Sky Sports, and it started from a bad way with the coaches thing. But he was BBC over the week. I think on Saturday he was talking about something on the radio show. It helps. This really helps put our name out there. And like I said to you guys last time, I want to be an NRI club, and I do think having someone like Roger is again an NRI. Now the only issue is that I'm talking to you guys now. The thing is, if you ask me a question, I'll go a different direction. So you guys have to stop me.
That's okay. No, carry on.
You've answered my next question.
The only thing with NRI, I don't want the club to be too much of an NRI club, which is one thing I'm getting slightly afraid of, because we're now, our CEO is NRI, I'm NRI. You need somebody there, because India is it's totally a different animal. Once I've been there now for 4 years, I realized that if you don't know India, you're gonna be in trouble. It's not about speaking Hindi or speaking Odia or speaking anything else. It's about knowing kind of mentally how to deal with governments, how to do with local things, small cultural things. If you're born in America or in the UK, you will get it. You won't get it unless you've been brought up by it, and if you know kind of thing. And that's why I told our chairman, I said I don't want to make it too much of our cultural identity foreign, because it's good in an international setting, but it's really bad in domestic, because we won't all understand certain things. When they like having Ashish was Indian, but he had like a Western flair to him because he was studying abroad in college. So I don't want to completely lose identity, and that's why even this year. I heard some people complain that we didn't hire. So I saw on Twitter someone said you should have hired me for something, and I said, one thing I don't want to do is because and I was like, what's a weird thing to put A on? I don't remember this guy. I looked at my emails to make sure, and I
replied to some tweet, some other tweet.
Yeah, about anything, but I was like, weird. But as we were the show that she could hire, but I also don't want to hire people from without. I want to hire now more and more in Odisha, because I think it's very important to me that you keep that going. Because our community team is all from Odisha, which is good. Our grassroots team is all from Odisha, great. Our media guy, Odisha, good. But I don't want to keep. I want more and more, because it helps to have that kind of tie back to the club, and I do want to keep promoting, Odia people and having this stuff. And so that's why I'm a little bit. The only downside is, of course, a lot of the good guys can do in sales or in corporate, the high up jobs usually come from Mumbai or Delhi or Kerala or Hyderabad or Bangalore. It's hard to find that in Odisha, but we're still looking, because we still want to bring that flavor to it. But that's why I'm trying to balance it out now a little bit, so someone can at least culture check me and Raj to the most part, to say, maybe, I don't know, we should culturally, maybe it's not right to do this or that, or, so we have that balance, because you need, as Thanos says, everything should be balanced, perfectly balanced. So let's see. I mean, it's a long ways to go, and still really not even the end of the season yet, but we're still doing stuff already, and I'm still trying to invest in. I think our first step has been to find a technical partner to really push get the coach, get the players, foreign players, get somebody, even Indian players. I've only signed one Indian player so far. Compared to last season, this time I signed 6, 8, 10, I think by this point. I signed only one, because I don't want to sign too many now yet until I have everybody on idea and board what I want to do and how I want to put it. So let's see.
Can I just, going back to the sustainability question, and
of course,
in the current model and the way it's currently managed by FSDL, is it sustainable, or tweaks have to be made, or can you?
Tweaks have to be made,
especially with relegation coming in a couple of years.
Yeah, that doesn't really. Though I gave against what I said that I was shut after earlier. No, that's not true. I said the only reason why relegation has to work, if you want relegation to work, which is fine, except for this year, obviously, I'm glad, thank God. But why relegation works, if they give equal coverage television to what they do in the championship and in the premiership, they're the same quality of television thing, right? There is no real I think it's still going to be on Sky. It's still going to see it. You can still catch it. If what is an I-League, you can't watch I-League games now. I try my best to watch I-League games because I still want to keep an eye on some players I liked last year that I tried to sign, but they're under contract. But it's really hard. You can't do that. If you want to do I-League, fine, but they better be on Star Sports. They better get equal kind of television time. You got to do something where, even though yes, you understand the quality of the league has to be a little bit less. I understand that, but if you do what they're doing now, then then you're spending, maybe late fees are out, but and some of your players might leave. But okay, at least you have to give that same television view to get some consistency. If you really shows a huge gap, then relegation won't make sense in that way, right? You have to have some degree of pushing it. But to answer your question, tweaks still need to be made. I still am against league fees, given the fact that we're all in losses. It makes a huge burden on us. And we all know that we're fishing for sponsors in the same pool. The league and us and other teams, we're all going for the same local sponsors, but they can offer more because they're the league, right? They get more television time, they get the control of everything. Star owns the thing. The good thing is they're trying. Martin coming in has helped because he's trying to push some normal agendas across. I mean, he's doing his best. He's still not there yet, but he's still giving the good try. And I can see some things moving, at least with Star. Like now I can push highlights more or less on our accounts where we couldn't do like 2 years ago. And I know some of you fans want to put stuff and you get DMCC, you get takedowns marked on YouTube. I know it's hard for you guys. Hopefully in the future it does change. But yeah, Nevin,
I used a 3-second clip.
Yeah.
I used a 3-second clip of Leon Agustin celebrating. It's not even the goal.
And so it's harder. So that loses that, and it hurts. But the problem is that Star has their own kind of control. That's why I said it's weird. It's still very tangled. Everybody's very incestuous together right now. And there has to be some kind of tangled, like spread apart so you can control things. Because, not being able to share a clip of a goal is so weird. I mean, that's what the most popular clip to show is, right? If I want to see the goal that Diego scored against Jamshedpur, or if I want to show the goal that Paul scored last game, it's be such a fun thing to show, or if 433 covers it, or one of these social media sites covers it. It's so powerful to have that viewership. You put it on Reddit, you put it on Twitter, you put it on Instagram. But if you can't do it, then you're losing an audience to see it who might not have seen before. And you get the jokes and the memes aside from it, yeah, I'm sure. But I thought India was only good at cricket, kind of thing. And then but at least you get people awareness, and the key starting point is awareness. You don't even have awareness anywhere else. And is draconian. I don't like it. I do think we have to be more. We have to adapt. And of course, in India, saying to adapt is easier than pushing a boulder up the hill. But we have to adapt in certain things. We have to realize that this is a league. We have a great opportunity being the one of three. India only has 3 real, leagues. Not like the US where there's like 7, or in the UK where there's I don't know how much in the UK, frankly speaking. But I think cricket. Do you have cricket? I guess you have cricket again.
It's two. It's football and cricket and rugby to a certain extent.
Yeah, but NFL's been popular. I know in the UK a little bit. They're doing a little bit of that, but still. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, beg your pardon for interrupting. Just on the back of what you said and a previous thought, but on the back of what you've said, how much influence do they have in terms of how the league is set up and the rules around? You're laughing already, and
yeah,
I think
this is gonna be in trouble. I know this is spicy.
You can say no.
No. I know. My thing is, I've always honest people. Even if I get yelled at, later, whatever. But I like the fact that one of my, reputation is I'm always straight with people, and I think it's very important that people know what happens, because you guys are fans, you guys are consumers of the product. You should know what's going on in the scenes to a certain extent. Contractually, I can't say anything, but certain things I can't say, I won't say. But if there's certain things I think is important for you guys to know as fans, you guys should know. And I do think that the owners could have more authority than they do now. I feel like compared to other leagues, we are definitely in the lower end of the spectrum. I think it's kind of weird. We don't have league team meetings, like league owners meetings. We talk to each other privately, but it's not the same as us sitting in a room with FSDL. We have done, I think, only twice. I've been in 4 years. I think twice I've been to league meetings. I think the league should do more of this stuff, and we should have more to say. Listen, we're putting money up into this. We should have the right to say what goes on.
100%.
Letting teams in. Like, I'll be honest, the East Bengal thing, we were told very clearly at the beginning of the season, East Bengal was not coming in. It was told in a meeting publicly, not happening, no matter what. And then like 3 months later, we weren't even told about it. It came in the news. Of course, Marcus spread it out, and I wasn't aware. I was like, "This is happening," and then we got a very trite, apology. But like, you can't. If this happened in England, there's been a massacre in the streets. You couldn't have just bring a team in and not tell anybody about it. And I know a lot of owners are pissed off about that. There was no transparency with that. So I understand, and I understand to an extent the league is also in a tough place. Something, of course, in India, it's all politics. Just like national team selection, it's all politics. But you have to accept certain things. Like I think I told you guys last time, I Blood Diamond when Leonardo DiCaprio's character goes, "This is Africa." I always said, "This is India, mate." I told him, even Raj is learning the hard way too. Like he's learning this from me. He was like, "I was talking this thing, and this is what it's like." And I'm like, "You are now officially an Indian, my son. You have now seen. This is how it is now. You have to roll it."
And this is the conversation I have with Nevin all the time. This happens, really?
Yeah.
And I'm like, just like, yeah.
And Raj is like shocked. He's like, "I can't believe you." He goes, "If this wasn't UK," I said, "You're not in the UK anymore, buddy. You're not in Kansas anymore. This is the Wild West now.
I say exactly the same thing."
And he said, "Yeah, this is unbelievable." I said, "How do you guys?" And I'm like, "You're just gonna have to shrug your shoulders and go for the next fight, kind of thing." And this is what it is. And the way is trying to be like he was like, I know, and again, I'm not trying to bring up this whole thing again, but he was like, we'll be going into this later. I'm sure this will come up at some point. But anyways, but he was surprised about certain transfer things and how things work, how other clubs behave. And I'm like, this is how it is, man. You get all these things, you get all these kind of characters that you just have to kind of make your peace with it, try your best to circumvent it. And you have to be aggressive. In India, aggression, you kind of carry a big stick kind of sometimes to be heard and to kind of get your point across, unfortunately. You like things becoming, but it's a certain thing with certain things, certain ways, certain things. But he's going through a rough. At a certain point, because he had a really rough. I don't think anybody had a harder 2-week stint in it coming into the club. He had the first week was all the drama with us being last place, then coach saying his disgusting things, and then the week after that was a transfer, and he was like, "I can't believe." Is this always like this, or is this because I got hired? I said, I mean, honestly, this is only because this only happened because I didn't have any of these issues in the last 3 years, but you came in as like God said, let's challenge him now. Let's see how good he can do it. And he's handled it well. I'm really impressed. I thought he would quit a long time ago, but he's handled it well. I was very impressed. Raj.
Talking of Raj and talking to you just now, I can see that you've done a lot of introspection in terms of how you managed and you dealt with issues last summer. When did you decide to bring in Raj or somebody in that position? Because
we were always.
And why?
I always had one eye when it was written. I realized that things were after the season, kind of 3 games in. I started to realize I think we needed to have someone in because the team wasn't doing well. Even commercially, we have Portala sponsor, which was good, but even off the field, we couldn't get anything. I tried personally. I was calling people. I was on all these meetings with all these different companies. We hired I told you at that time off a certain company in the UK to help us. They were just taking money and not doing anything with it, so I had to fire them. And so it was all these kind of things that were happening. And I was thinking, you know what, I need help. It's not just me alone. And I'd love to think that I could do it by myself. And I have and I still do think I obviously have a lot to add to the equation, but football club is not a one-man army. You need people to help you out. And I think one thing that helped with you and me last year is having a sheesh there, that you have someone to talk to. I never even talked to the club, right? If something was going wrong, I could talk to a B, I could talk to one of my guys, but they're not senior enough. They haven't been through the wars to kind of know what it's like. You need someone to help you out. And I was talking to some people before. Actually, who I actually interviewed was, I can even give you the whole story about this because I love giving you guys stories. The Swansea City current CEO right now. I don't know what's his name. I'm Googling it right now, so sorry. I'm just looking at Julian Winter. I interviewed Julian Winter in the summer when we hired Coach Baxter. And, at the time, he was interested in the project. He said, "Wow, this is actually really cool. I like what you're doing. I like the idea of Indian football." Then the season, we were thinking about hiring him, and I told our chairman, I was like, "You know what? It doesn't make sense to hire someone. We're in a bubble. I mean, we're not going to be on the ground. We're just be in this, at the hotel most of the time. Why spend extra money? And these are pretty expensive salaries. Why waste it? I'll handle it for the most part, and we'll see how it goes." And then when the season went on, I'm like, we need to have someone. So then Julian at that time got hired by Swansea, and he put me in touch with someone he thought was good named Raj. And I talked to him, nice guy, very personable, hungry. He's, NRI helps as well. And we decided to work with him now immediately. So let's start now. Let's see how things go. Let's get you a little baptism now. And to his credit, Raj, we want some a little more commercial experience as well, because, like I told you, he's opened my eyes to a lot of different things we could have done that clubs should be doing in general that we're not doing. And we can still make some money on this on the side, but make some money coming to the club that, okay, there are things that need to be fixed. It can still bridge the gap considerably. And with the grants, with the ability I have from the government, where I have free stuff that are giving me like fields and academies, I have a lot more leverage to work with. And the good thing is, like I said before, the government is very proactive. Even when we're doing like a project like build a hotel, like one thing I really want to do is build a nice hotel in Bhubaneswar, because we have the 2 hotels, which is, I think I mentioned this last time even, where we have the we're in 2 hotels now. Nevin, you must know, maybe Mayfair. We have Mayfair, and we have one more. Mayfair, and no, we have Mayfair and what's the other? It's in. You said Trident. You said Trident. I think it's a higher Trident. We have Trident, Mayfair, and Trident. These are the 2 hotels we have. The Trident's okay. Mayfair is very nice. If you ever go to Odisha, guys, the Chinese restaurant there, top tier. Joseph used to eat there every night. I used to eat there quite regularly. Best Chinese food I've ever had, honestly. Top 2, 3 Chinese food restaurants, really good, really spicy, really good. I love it. That's a plug, guys. So sponsor me later of this podcast. Manscaped and the Chinese restaurant will be 2 sponsors for this podcast. But it's a good place, but I want to build like a little bit more of a, because doing all these tournaments now with FIFA and bringing all these people in, there's enough space for this. And if you want to be a serious footballing city, like they're doing in Kerala, building all these stuff and having this like footballing city centers, Odisha's trying to do that. We gotta have a nice, theoretically, we could have the bubble in Odisha. If we had more hotels, we could have the bubble in Odisha. We had the fields, we have the ease. It wasn't as COVID infested. It was a really nice way. Traveling is a breeze. If we had more hotels, we could have done it. That was the only reason why we didn't have hotels. And Go did a good job. Don't get me wrong, Go did a good job, but I know the beginning was a little bit rocky in the beginning, but with the cabs stuff, and luckily it didn't affect us like other clubs. But same time, Odisha has a little more control of everything, because I think it's the only state I think that has no real political party. I don't get too political on the podcast, but I think because Mr. Patnaik has his own, he's not really affiliated with either or, so yeah. he is a little bit more freer to control what he wants to do. So what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. So I want to do all these things, so it has all this kind of stuff. We build a hotel to help that out. Having someone who is like Raj, having this commercial sense, is helping us, and he can pull in the UK. And I think it's very important that, of course, now things with some kind of degree of humor, considering this is a UK Indian podcast, but there is a lot of stuff that you could really do with the UK and with England, and how much of the diaspora is there. And Raj is really key to that, and he's trying to get out there. He's trying to publicize Odisha and the things that we couldn't dream about having 2 years ago. Where I was hiring an agency to do these things, put on Sky Sports, put on BBC. He's in for free. He has, of course, friends in the media. There are a lot of Indians there, and he's trying to help us out any way he can. So hopefully, there's more and more stuff that can help us out, and Raj can help us grow further abroad, even.
Nevin?
Yeah, I have to ask. I have to ask a question that is not.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you were stay match, what is your level? I want to know how you're going to.
No. Okay, so let me put it this way.
I was really disappointed before you answer that question when the squad came out.
Yeah, so I think I'll give Steve. I don't know how much. I never stay match one night when he came to Odisha. He seemed like a really nice guy. I don't know if I'm not trying to say I'm trying to degrade him anyway by saying I don't know how much he's picking, how much it is, their committee or whatever it is. First of all, I don't know. I think I'm not sure that's true. But I do feel that this was a little bit of a slap in the face to me for 2 reasons. I'm not saying me personally. I'm saying me as an Odisha FC. One is, you said starting 11. I think the crux of the team is okay. I don't have a problem with the crux of the team. You've gotten something. I would have added. I think it's disrespectful to Arindam that he didn't get called up, considering he's most clean sheets in the league. People are saying the defense was good. Okay, so was Amrinder's defense. Yeah, what are you going to be doing this for? What are we doing here? I do think that left back Goa, what's his name? Xavier Gama got called up. He's good. I like him a lot. And of course, to me, why I took a little personally to Jerry, because you can't. How does it make sense if the guy with the most assists for Indian not even get called to the Pro Bowls? I mean, are you kidding me? Like, what kind of? I mean, it's like saying. I mean, I understand we were bottom of the table, but again, Sarta Guli got called up, and we just scored 6 against him. He was starting that game. So what's the logic? I felt, and this is where I don't get. This is where it's a gray area for me because I might get in trouble for saying one of these two things. One thing is I have reason to believe, and I'm not trying to be paranoid with my tinfoil hat, but it might be something against Odisha FC because of the way we got Hendry and Sarab. And I don't want too much in detail there, but if any federation is listening to this, they'll know what I'm talking about. And I've heard through back channels are really upset how we got them, because we didn't pay a transfer fee for them. And I know the clubs typically pay a transfer fee for their players, and we didn't because of a certain loophole of their contract. And I've heard that the federation was not happy about that. And since then, that's why you don't see any Odisha FC players on that little Instagram live thing. They don't publicize any of those players in any of their media. You don't see anybody unless on any of the social media handles. I defy you to look outside of our games, see if you see any Odisha FC players on there. And I have a feeling it's going to do a little bit of that. But that could be one. I could be wrong. It could be not even that didn't come across mind. The second other theory, which is also could make sense, is that we tend to pick the federation tends to pick name brands over players. They like to pick the name brands. Like I mean, to no disrespect to Ishan, who's been good in his clutch moments, but I would have called up the guy from Trout. He's been scoring quite a bit. He scored 8 goals, and I think 10 appearances. Not bad. At least calling him up. It doesn't hurt, right?
Just got 3 strikes.
Right. He had a hat trick last a couple days ago, 2 days ago, 1 day ago, but I think we picked. I'm sorry.
Just 3 strikers in the squad. That's just very low anyway. Easily afford another one.
And and I've heard from, and so the fact that I understand, again, we had a down season is easy, but Jerry not getting called up was to me very insulting. And I know that we picked, I mean, this understood Udanta, but Udanta didn't have the same season Jerry had. He was benched. Sheik hasn't played for like 4 months. He got called up, and I know Sheik's a really good player, but he's coming off a serious facial injury. He hasn't played
only
for 4
6
months
games this year.
Yeah, and again, look at his stats. I mean, I'm saying, just look at the stats for all the wingers that he called up. Who has Jerry's stats? Now, of course, you can argue some has better goals, a little bit here and there, but Jerry, to me, that was very disrespectful what Jerry has done this season to the player. And only just time last year was called to the Pro Bowls. And now he had better, more assists than last season. Now he's gotten less called up. I mean, come on, man, what are we doing here? And even the guys who usually get called, Vinit didn't get called up. That's what I was, okay, yeah, Vinit didn't have a good season this year compared to his past, but usually the coaches like Vinit. Vinit is the one player I get calls for every month saying from teams that want him for me. And it's him and Jerry. My phone's always up the hook. Any club, I have at least at a given point. I'm not even exaggerating. At least 2 calls coming per month about Vinny. People love him, and I understand because of what he can do and his his neat passes. Okay, he's not as aggressive. I still think Paul's gonna give him a nice challenge next year because Paul's a little more aggressive. But it's strange to me that this didn't happen. But I will say to this, I mean, again, not getting full off that side, but I do think overall the team is pretty good. I just think it's disrespectful to have the most assists on the person coming in. I think it's ludicrous. I think I spoke to Jerry because he saw me ranting like a maniac, and I had memes, I had everything. I was gonna go on a full frontal assault, but then I thought, if I go all out, then I'm worried I might jeopardize his future career at the federation. I didn't want to do that. So I'm gonna just get my thing off and just call it a day. But to me, it's insulting to a player of his caliber. The sacrifice he's done, consistent product throughout 2 years. He's the fifth. So I think seventh. I think in the ISL history of total ISL assists, I think he's the second Indian after Brandon, more than Jackie Chan. So I think it's just weird. I don't get it. I don't know if it's politics. I don't know if it's because of I told you the how I got Sarab and Hendry. It's retaliation for that. I don't know if it's because he has like 9 brands. I joked that I know a lot of Kerala fans. I was thinking I'm very popular with Kerala people, with the fans. They were like, "Sir, it's just okay. JSW. That's what happens. JSW controls it." I'm like, but they're like Bangalore like me, so they're always on my side for it seems these days. But it's just I thought it was weird, and I don't like it. Nobody's able to give me a good explanation for it. I heard that someone tried to put Jerry's injured. That was the note. I'm like, as if I'm on Twitter as if I'm not all constantly online saying who knows when his players are injured or not. I'm like, that's kind of bullshit. He played 2 days ago, man. What are you talking about? He scored some goals and so it's, to me, it's just this kind of stuff. I don't like it. It's hinky, and they've not come up with a reason. But it's fine. I hope
even wearing my Odisha tinted glasses, and this might be a bit of an extreme call, and I've got affection for the young man as well. I thought I should deserve to call up. I mean, when you think about it, you've got Sebastian, who's in his mid-30s. Why not bring a young keeper who's played pretty much all season into the environment?
Yeah. I mean, I love Arshdeep. I can understand though why, given the amount of goals he let in. It's not his fault.
No.
When people, you can't blame goalkeeper because it's always defensive. Same with clean sheets. Arshdeep has pulled up some amazing saves this year. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Arshdeep got thrown into the fire this year. I mean, he got thrown into a fire that no other Indian goalkeeper I've seen really, and he still tried to come out, and he came out very strong in certain things. I mean, you can see the stats. I mean, we would have been down bad, really bad this season if Arshdeep didn't save a lot of saves that he saved. And I do think Arshdeep's time is coming. I'm very proud of the way he's handled himself in maturity and poise. That it's hard. I mean, you got thrown to the wolves this season. The defense didn't help him as much. No disrespect to our defense, who tried their best, but they just got outbeaten a lot of times. And Arshdeep was on one-on-one situations, and he would admit it. I would have liked it too, but I could see how you could logistically not keep him out. I can see to my head, I could argue. If we were in a court of law, I could argue it's probably why he should have gotten in. But I could also understand from the other side. Jerry made no sense to me because it's such an obvious compared to the other players who are on that list. I mean, to be honestly, if Arindam didn't get in, I didn't expect Archie to get in, and that to me is another disrespect to another Indian guy who's paid his dues for the league, the country. He's had a class. I honestly would even say, as far as he was probably the second best. I mean, he was the best goalkeeper last year. This year, I think Amrinder was better than him, but I even Gurpreet in this, I would have still taken Arindam last year. I mean, he was good, man. He was making some saves that I was impressed with. So I think that's weird that he didn't get called up either. But listen, man, I wish they would let me pick the team. I promise you guys, I would have picked some good. I'll even put some highly guys in there. But I'm hoping it's just not political. My only fear is that this is a political thing they're trying to do, and I really hope it's not. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm just being and just being an ass and just being paranoid, and this is the reason why. But some things are not adding up to me. And if you did a deep dive and seeing how Odisha is covered by the national team AFFF, I can see. I have a suspicion. I don't know. Hopefully, I'm proven wrong, and next time they play well, next time they have a call up, they realize their mistake and they bring the boys up. But for me, I'm just a little bit pissed off by Jerry. I'm Jerry's bad. And the problem is our Indian boys are too nice. They won't speak up. So that's why I spoke up. I know his agent was like, you gotta chill, man. I said, listen, man, I understand. I should chill, but I'm like a mama bear when it comes to my boys, and I'm like, they won't speak up because they're good kids. They are, they go to church, they do their prayers, they brush their teeth, they don't drink. So that's my job, to be their like the LeVar Ball of their team, or there's their soccer mom who's like, you know what? How dare you pick my son on this team and get all that thing. And that's the one thing I always I say, you know what? At the end of the day, I can't promise some trophies like Mumbai can or ATK can, but I promise when you're with me, I'll go to bat for you every day of the week, and I'll fight for you, and it's unclean.
This is what really frustrates me. The powers that be are so thin-skinned. And Nevin's given me so many stories about this.
This is India.
You can't say anything without offending somebody, even though it might be constructive or what you're saying is the truth. That they have so much power.
No, that's my policy, is to piss everybody off and then deal with the blowback later. I think that's why I just say, I mean, but you know what I mean? If Jerry keeps getting high assists and he doesn't get called up, then something's wrong. Then I'm glad that I know that, because I make a lot of noise, and I'm not doing it just for political. I'm making noise because I think it's not fair. If it was like, I mean, that's what I understand why we need an Archie to get called, and that's not. Even though I do think they could have been called up, and maybe in a perfect world they should have, but I can understand why. You can make sense to me. But if this keeps happening, then the fans will know. I mean, nobody's stupid. I mean, this is why they didn't buy into the whole Bollywood madness of ISL. If everybody bought into the Bollywood madness of ISL, then we could have done this all the time, and nobody would have been like, oh, I guess that makes sense. The Indian football fan is smarter than that. outside the Bangalore fans. But the Indian fans, other than that, are no. And that's gonna be clipped, and they're gonna be like, this guy can. They're gonna have their 3 guys bots tweeting me, Rohan, you know what? It sucks about now. But they're smart too, and certain of them are. But there are some that are really nice. Some of them are just suck. But Indian fans are smart. They know they're savvy. They know what's up. And this stuff, if this keeps happening, they're gonna make some noise. They'll make noise. Now a good thing is Indian social media for football is starting to rise up a little bit more and more. Thanks to people like Nevin and to you, to some extent Bharat, who are trying to push the news out there. And there are plenty of guys out there. I mean, even though I usually have a pretty good relationship with a lot of the Indian media because they like me because I tell them how straight up things, and maybe that's good or bad. But I always have fun talking to these guys because I can they're trying to put the story out there. They're trying to put things out there so it comes to light. So you guys know that if things are going wrong, that you guys have the responsibility to push it. And even if I do something wrong, I'm glad that there was a lot of media outcry when Coach Baxter did that thing. And even though we were going to do it anyways, I'm glad that showed there was some accountability. If I didn't do it, there was going to be accountability on that people would have been upset. And like with Lavanya, I spoke to her for an interview afterwards, and we talked about this, and I gave a whole thing about what happened. And personally, with Raj did too. Brad, you should speak to Raj. I think he'll like talking to you.
I'd love that. Yeah, it'd be fantastic to have you on the show.
I'll put him in touch with you. But I like that they're starting to. I hope that this continues, because without this, then I don't say bad guys is too hyperbolic, but then these things will get under the wire. And even with me, I understand I make mistakes. I'm human, and I rather people tell us to our face and not, so you create that accountability.
You lead us back to the incident with Coach Baxter, and just to give you a bit of an insight, just a couple of weeks before we were talking about coaches and how they were under pressure, and obviously Coach Baxter was under pressure because of the season.
You told me I heard you wanted to stay another year. You said you hope he stays another year. I listened to the podcast.
Yeah, and
I listen occasionally. So don't think I occasionally listen because I'm curious, but like I don't listen all the time because I'm worried that I'm gonna hear this sucked. I can't believe Rohan is. I'm like, oh my God, I want to hear it. But
no, but fair play to you.
I did listen. I did listen to it. It's interesting. That was ironic. I did listen to that one
because that was an easy option
season.
In January because of the season you had first half of the season. That was a very easy thing for you to do, quite justifiable. But you backed him, and for him to let you down like that, it must have really hurt.
It hurt. I just, for me, what? Honestly, I didn't when. I told Slavania, and I'm going to break it down to you. I was on the phone with Raj because we're going over the game. Because after every game, me and Raj used to speak to each other for about 20 minutes, talk about what's going on. And, I was on my phone, and it was a bad game. And I tweeted something about, the silence. And I didn't know. I was before all that happened. And then suddenly I was going to see what's in Odisha. And then someone had said, oh, I can't believe Stuart Baxter said that on the live TV. And I was like, what? And then I was like, nobody said what he was saying. I was like, well, do you wonder what he had said? Did he do Robbie Fowler? Did he just say the Indian players suck? I don't know what he had said. And then I kept waiting. And then I saw something about rape. And then I was like, oh no. And I told Raj on the phone. I was on the phone. And I said, Raj, he goes, yeah, I think we have a situation. He goes, what? I think a coach said something about rape on national TV. And he was like silent. He said, are you sure? I said, I don't know. I'm seeing on Twitter someone is saying it. And then he's like, oh, I don't know. I said, let me find out if there's a video of it. I texted the beak, said, are you in there? He's not with the match commissioner's office. So okay, so who's there? They said the video came out, and then I was like, oh no. And then I sent to Raj, and he was like, oh no. And I knew that. And then suddenly the notification. So I told him, I said, guys, let's get a statement out. Right now, I can't authorize any termination now because the chairman, he just had shoulder surgery, he had heavy shoulder surgery, and he's on heavy painkillers. I said, I can't talk. He's already out. I can't ask anything now. Let me circle back tomorrow, and then tomorrow let's kind of figure this out. So Raj and I were up until about 3 a.m, getting everything planned, how you do it. I spoke to the chairman. It's like 6 a.m, gave him the green light. By that point, of course, it was already in the U.S. It was in the U.S. Washington Post, AP News had pushed it out. It was in the U.K. And I was like, it was a little bit late, but we did it by next day. I'm glad we acted fast. 12 o'clock, by 1 o'clock India time, we did it. And even for us, it was given all the time zones. It was really hard, but we had to tell the coach, we had to get the sign off, the legality, make sure we were okay legally, and they went out. So in that moment, I didn't even think much about feeling let down. it was just panic, because when you're in a viral incident, you always see it happen to other people. You never expect it to happen to you, right? So you see if someone tweets something stupid, you're like, that idiot. Sucks to be him. This idiot's a moron who tweets something that, or you see someone else say something stupid, and you're like, I hate him. I'm not that team. And then when it happens to you, and then you're like, oh my God, you can't believe it. You are shocked because you're in the middle of a storm and you're trying to rearrange things quickly to make sure it happens. And one thing I'll say, my whole team worked very hard with me. I'm really happy with everybody to get it down within less than 24 hours, which I was really happy about. Because if it was anything longer than 24 hours, we were complicit. And I was kind of almost supporting his statement. And I was very glad that everybody worked together fast, get it down, get it out now. No ifs, ands, buts. I saw we had these right-wing trolls starting trolling us too. And I was almost a little bit excited for that. I was like, I really want to dunk on them, but I thought, you know what? Enough damage is done today. Let me just be the mature one for once in this scenario and just say two things. The other thing was because when I get that statement, I realized the second statement when we fired him, the people might have thought we fired him just because we fired him. And then I realized that was the wrong message I was supposed to be let out. I wanted to be known that it was fired because of the comments, not because of the form of the team. And that's why I said to people, I said, if we were going to fire him, we would have fired him 3 months ago. We weren't going to fire him, the next day because of that. It had to be because of what he had said. And of course, it really hurt. It put the team in a different disarray. But and now again, I'm feeling the effects now. I'm looking for a new coach. I got to do all these things. But it was shocking that it would happen. Shocking that it happened in a way that, on national TV, and shocked the coach or his experience would use something like that. Considering he's been around the block. He's not like a spring chicken.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. It was a really wild 24 hours for me. I didn't sleep much that night. I'll tell you that. I was
till that point, Robbie Fowler was giving us a lot of talking points throughout the season. He made our podcasts in some weeks.
I think, Nevin, I heard that you like Robbie now because he's so spicy. He's a spicy guy.
He's always content for us.
I'm not going to defend Robbie because he follows me on Twitter, actually, funnily enough now. But because we actually interviewed him for the job back when we were looking, he was one of the interviews, but he was at Brisbane. I thought he can't get out of the contract. I don't get too much. It's not our team's business. I don't want to get too much on our team's business. They gotta do. I'm glad he's getting content. It does create some sort of thing, but I just wish it was a more respectful than Indian players. Because they're sensitive. They're trying. One thing I'll always say, and I'm not saying because I'm obviously half Indian. I'm not, I'm biased, but having been in there, I've never met really any lazy Indian players. I mean, there are guys who are not getting it because of language barriers and stuff like that, but they try. They really do try. They try their hearts out. They know how important this is for them, and I would just say this could be easy on them. I know it's easy to point fingers and we know, if we're being honest, everybody being honest in this call, the Indian players East Bengal have are not top tier. And I say that as a bottom place team, but I feel my Indian players are good. It's get a good run of it, but it's not easy. But yeah, I mean, you still have some pretty decent players. You had JJ, you had Narayan, who still has something in him left in him, and you had Mohamed Rafiq, and there's some good guys with names. They were not just like completely from I think second division Bangalore United or anything. They were named. JJ is there, and Debichet played pretty well this year.
They let go of good players as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I think are they still banned, by the way, for the transfer ban, or are they appealing it, or what are they doing for that? Do you guys?
I don't know what is the latest update.
I haven't heard. I mean, it'd be very interesting to see what's going to happen if they have a transfer ban for I feel like it's going to repeal. I feel no way. I mean, it's one. If that, probably one, but I don't know. I know there's a lot of politics in East Bengal, so I don't really touch that with a 10-foot pole. But I have a feeling it should be. I mean, I don't know. I feel like knowing the federation, it's East Bengal is one of those flower childs for them. It's going to get repealed to maybe one, if that. I think more likely than not, I was betting, probably they'll get nothing. They'll probably all right, slap them on the wrist, pay a fine, halas, move out the door. Next, and then they'll have it. Yeah,
I'm sure Bharat is still learning about Indian football. Here you understand.
Oh, I've got a lot of learning to do. It never ceases to surprise me. But can I just ask?
Nothing surprises me.
In terms of
I get surprised a little bit.
in terms of the
Sometimes.
season,
Yeah.
how much interaction do you have with the coach during the season? Is it after each game? And
It depends. At the beginning, I tried my best to interact as much as I could with him, but then at a certain point, you were losing too much, and I was like, it was the same generic answers. He was, yeah, I don't want to spend too much, but he was a little upset with that essay I wrote. He thought I was taking shots at him, and that kind of hurt our relationship a little bit. And I was like, that wasn't anything to do with you at all. I was trying to say that, it was psychologically with the way we've been being. It happens, but I wasn't taking shots at you, and he felt I was taking shots at him for some reason. And I thought that was weird because I didn't even mention. Actually, I said I don't want to be satisfied. I even put the thing. Like, the coach is one of the best coaches in the league. I trust him. This is good. But he somehow saw the one negative thing and amplified that instead of seeing the positive thing. And it happens. So communication things happen. But I spoke to him about that. We buried the hatchet. I said I'll try my best to help you. And I often said, then after when Roy hired Raj, I let Raj be the front man. I said, Raj, I don't think for some reason. I mean, we were okay. Nothing went wrong after that. But I was like, Raj, maybe you're English. He's English. Maybe there's a cultural. Maybe some way of talking. I'm a little bit abrasive at times. When I talk, I'm very direct. I don't mince words. And maybe you all better chance. So I know Raj and him were talking after every match. They talked after every match. But I think at a certain point, I think there was a point where it broke him. I think the East Bengal game broke him. I think when you lost that Valley to East Bengal at that time, I think that he was up to that point. The reports I got, even when I would hear him talk, that he still believed in the team. He was like, you know what, we'll fix it. We can fix it. We got the Kerala win. Good, we're there. We can do it. we can. After that East Bengal thrashing he got, I think that really shocked him. And I think from there it kind of spiraled. If you ask me personally, maybe he might feel something differently, but just from my eyes, I think that was a tipping point for him because we just couldn't recover.
In terms of the last season, is this something just like the world wants to forget 2020? We're gonna forget the last season.
No,
how do you look
I
back
can't
on
forget
that?
it. I can't forget it. I cannot forget it. Not because it's psychologically damaging to me. Because I'll tell you, that ATK game happened when we got that. It hit me. I was just that. I know I put a brave face social media. I even had to talk to the players. Forget it, but I couldn't forget it. I couldn't forget it. If I couldn't forget it, there's only the players couldn't forget it. But I don't want to forget it because it's so important. I don't get complacent with this. Because if I get complacent, say, COVID, we got a bad coach, then it'll happen again. And if I keep remembering it, if I keep putting it in a replay in my head that this is what wrong, why I'm hiring so many people to help challenge me, because I don't want to be the guy. Not because I want to be the guy making the decision. I'll make the hard decision if I have to, but I don't want to. I want people to start. I want them to feel that I'm not just an echo chamber. I have to have people around me giving me advice, helping me out, because I'm still, I'm still very young. I'm younger than I think probably both of you, and I'm still running a club, and I still can't. I don't want to. I have a lot of kids counting on me. I'll be honest with you. If it weren't for the fact that these boys know me, I think a lot of kids would have left the club this year. I'll be perfectly blunt. Really? I feel that because there was no leadership down there. It was the worst team in the league. I mean, people were losing. They lost national team call-ups because of this season. Vineet, Nanda, Shubham. I mean, Shubham had an up and down year, but Shubham still. Jerry. I mean, I have a feeling they would have left the club, but because they know me, and the relationship I have with my players is very special, and I hold that very sacred because they know. They text me and they let me know when things are okay. I tell them that talk to me if everything's wrong. I create that atmosphere in the club because like I said to you guys before, I can't pay as high a size as Mumbai. I don't have the legacy as Bangalore, but one thing they'll get from me is I'm gonna be there for them. And I think for a lot of young Indian boys, it's very special because some of them don't have dads, some of them have family issues, some of them don't have their family supporting their dream. I want to be that big brother for them that when they have issues, they come to me because at the end of the day, I owe something. And I don't mean to be weird about it being a family, but it's very important because like I said, I've seen these guys grow up in front of my eyes. I've seen these boys sign contracts that have changed their family single-handedly, like Nanda. I said last time. I mean, it makes a difference. And when you have that connection with somebody where they know they can talk to you, it creates, because a lot of these clubs have too many big owners. And that's fair. You have guys running JSW, you guys running Tata, you guys running Goenka, you have guys running the City Football Group, you have guys Delton, Bollywood actors, you have Abhishek Bachchan, you have Mrs. Dhani. I mean, John Abraham. I mean, you don't have that same level of communication with celebrities or top 5 business people in India. You can have that with me because I'm around. And that's what I want my players to know. And that's why I think one of the reasons why a lot of players still stand by me and they stand by the team is because I have that relationship with them. If I didn't have it, I really feel that a lot of them would have said, boss, can you just sell me, or can I just leave? I'm not happy here. But because of that, I do feel strongly that I feel that my relationship with the players is what makes it so important, so powerful. And I think that's what helps them stay. And I think the more clubs do that, I think you create that legacy of your club. And it puts pressure on me almost a little bit because I don't want to let them down. And that's why when I'm losing, it hurts more because like, should I'm turning down an international job and to be riding the bench all season hurt. And, you know, I'm sure that might have hurt some of his trust in me a little bit. You know, he tells me, and I still talk to him. I just spoke to him the other day. He has to get surgery. He tore his ACL in training, and now he's out till I don't know when, but we're trying to do a surgery and everything. And he was talking to me about the season. And you know, I can tell they're still hurt that, you know, he didn't get much play time. He lost national team call-up behind that. They will never, that's it. They don't tell you to your face, but I know them enough now when I hear them. I know enough to know where the pain is. And I know that there's a lot of pain after this year. Because last year was a good note. Last year, we left, everybody was smiling. Even though we were in 6th place, I felt really strong with the team. The team was very connected.
A lot of positivity.
There was so much positivity in the room, that team. Even though at the end of it, it was very bittersweet. Everybody was like, the foreign players were loving it. We loved it. Everyone was happy. And this year, everybody was like, we couldn't wait to get out. And things happen like that. When you have a chaotic year, when you change coaches twice, you had to, you know, I'm glad people like, they played for Steven. I really believe they played for Steven Diaz that time because they really wanted to see him win. And that's the respect he had. And so, you know, it's a lot of pressure. It's ISL's hard, man. I wish it was as easy as me and clicking my fingers. And in theory, I could sit in front of a panel of football experts and I can tell them my plan. They'll say, you're doing the right things. But when he doesn't execute, then it just feels like it's just words, right? And I've always felt that if I just say shit, doesn't mean that it's good, right? I have to action upon it. And that's why it's such a weird feeling I have. And I've thought about, should I just leave? Like maybe it's me. Maybe I just don't get involved. Maybe it's just I need to have an expert on it. Maybe I need to find someone who just let Raj go completely take over this. Let me just step back and say, yeah, I'm there to help you out, but let Raj run the show because maybe I'm the problem. And I've had these thoughts to myself. I look in the mirror, like, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm too close. Maybe I'm just this thing. I don't know. I'm looking in the wrong directions. Maybe I need time to like really understand. Maybe take an internship or I don't know, work at Stanford Bridge for 6 years, or you know, come back or go to the Barn Bay. Maybe I do something like that. Take a class. I don't know. But is there a class to help you in Indian football? Probably not. But
I think the class you've had in the past year is probably better than you'll get anywhere else.
So that's why I don't know. It's a lot of like things because I want this to work. I want this to succeed. I want to be I want to win the league. I really want to put the kids in the AFC. I want my kids to come to the national team. I like it when I see them on the call sheet. I love it when I see them, you know, doing well, scoring goals, seeing them smile. I love seeing Diego and Jerry hugging each other. You know, such shining Jerry's boots. That's such a powerful thing to show. Seeing a foreigner do that, you know, foreigners don't really do that much. I've seen how East Bengal, even Goa. I mean, Goa. I'll say no, they do a good job. They do gasses them up, but you know, you don't see from a lot of clubs that the foreigners really interact with that level with Indian players, and I like seeing these things, and I want to continue. But for me, it's anything to do to win. For me, if I had to someone told me tomorrow, you can't be in Odisha FC anymore. You can't work in there. You have to work in shipping and do something else. I would do it. I would say, all right, because I know I'd rather see the team win than anything else in the world. And I want to see my boys succeed. I don't want to see sad and crying like I did this year. To me, that's heartbreaking. And that's what is so frustrating to me. And that's why I can't forget it. If I forget it, I'll go back to my merry old way and being cocky and slam dunking on East Bengal and Bangalore fans on Twitter. And I still want to do that, but it's harder when you're last place team. Yeah. But it's harder when you're last place team to respect. But even though Bangalore is 7th place, so I could kind of say like, guess what? You guys were just 2 spots ahead of me, man. They 4 spots ahead of me. Sorry, 11 teams this year. But you know, at the same time, I just can't let that happen. I can't let it forget it because if I do, it's going to repeat. History repeats itself. Or have you guys watched True Detective season 1? Time is a flat circle, man. And have you guys watched Nevin? You've not seen True Detective season? Dude, do me a favor. After this call, do what you gotta do.
Yes,
do what you gotta do. Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson, It's a great season one of the best season of TV I've seen in my life. I remember I was watching. I was in the States. I was like going crazy. I wanted to see it. Even Brad, if you have not seen it, watch. Great. If you like police, kind of like weird, like you're gonna watch Seven.
Yeah.
It's
What's
like
it called
similar to
again?
Seven, True Detective, but just
True
watch
Detective.
season one. Just because season one is an anthology series, so season one is really good. Season three is also okay. It has Marshall Ali as the main guy, but the season one was lights out. Oh my god, so good. You'll go crazy. You'll thank me later. It's such a good season show.
I'll put it on the
Sponsored by
to-do list.
HBO. Today's Desi Sportscast is sponsored by HBO.
We're getting too many sponsors for one show.
I swear. I swear. Mayfair, they were all the hits.
Bharat, if I may ask one question, I know we've been taking Rohan's time a lot.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
it's always my fault. It's always my fault because I always talk for 10 minutes before.
We are enjoying because this is content for us. But this just gently, what plans for summer? What plans for you? Are you going out there, going to scout? Are you going to focus more on getting for first team? And also, if you can talk about the Odisha Foundation, our Odisha Foundation that you just told us about.
So my first plan, like I said, is getting technical team. I want to get a new technical team into the club. It's so important that we have that, so we are scouting for the right places. Having said that, as soon as we have that in place, we'll have a technical director team, and then we're going to have, of course, the coach hired. We're hoping by, I think we put a calendar. Look at my calendar. To be honest, I haven't seen my calendar. I think we're trying to do it by last time. I'm nervous to give you the calendar because last time we gave the calendar and I was very late. But I was saying mid-April is what we have put to really get the new coach in, because we want to start the preseason a lot earlier. This preseason will be, I think, in July-ish, maybe June if depending when the season is. But at least start with the Indian players first, and I think we're gonna have this Indian coaching hired with, hopefully Steven is a part of it at some point, but we were trying to get someone a little more senior as well, to come in and start doing drills with the Indian boys, start doing things. Hopefully if the coach is hired by that point, you can give him his advice. So it creates this kind of atmosphere. If we're able to travel and we have a technical partner, let's say if it's like Leicester, maybe go to Leicester and do a preseason there if we can travel, if that's pie in the sky happening. But a lot of these clubs have saying, hey, please come to our town and do it. I'll be happy to do it and do it. So our first priority is that phase one is getting that in. Phase two is Indian players in preseason. Phase three, bringing the signing the foreigners and then bringing them into that squad as well. So hopefully by July, everybody's A-okay. The second priority after that is, my Indian players are all going to be there next year. We're going to try to maybe move someone out. Some guys who were being on loan, except for really Jerry, we're trying to, of course, we'll resign. Other than that, everybody else will be back. Paul, Arshdeep, Vineet, Nanda, Shubham, Hendry, everybody's going to be back. Cole has another year in his contract. His wife is about to give birth in the coming months. So I'm not sure if he wants to come back because how it is having a newborn baby in Odisha might be a little bit hard. For traveling and bringing them there. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but he's under contract. Maybe keep Diego. I think we would like to keep Diego. But with the foreign rules being less than having a new coach come in, he might feel differently. I don't know. But let's see. He's a good guy, though. I like Diego a lot. He's a very positive influence. So that's our initial plan. I don't, like I said, Indian players, I may try to sign maybe one or two, maybe 3 or 4, but they're going to be bigger names. I don't think we're going to be going for the I-League guys. I mean, there are 1 or 2 I-League guys I'm kind of looking at, but that's because in certain positions you need to have depth, and I'm not really happy with the depth I have right now. So maybe I'm going to try with something else in terms of a certain place of defense, especially. The defense is a lot of work. That's really one of my biggest concerns, defense this year, and it's getting the left back, right back, making sure that's in place. We have good people, but create a little bit more competition who are on the same level. I realize that, for example, Shubham, Kamalpreet, and Hendry, they're all a little bit different levels, and I think Hendry got out on most of it, but keep on pushing that and see how it goes. What else? You said, the Odisha Foundation. That's going to be more. That's like a more of a business angle that we're working on. Again, I'm hoping they'll be happening by May. Everything gets set up. I know we're also trying to do the women's team I mentioned because you want to see if I get the price point to the point where I have it and I have where I'm happy with. We'll hopefully do the IWL as well. There's already people working on it. We want to do that. Be the only. Since it's Odisha this year, we want to. There's a little more pressure on us. Not good pressure for us to do it. I think it helps when you have a home base there, and it creates a little bit that the fans couldn't see the first team there, and maybe thankfully so they couldn't see the first team there. They at least have the connection with the women's team. And then, the residential academy is something that I'm really nervous about, not because of the fact it's residential academy. It's because, like I told you, I don't know what to do with it. Not because I can put people there. I have players, I have coaches already signed. I've been paying them even though we're not doing anything. But how am I going to get game time? How am I going to put the end game there? And that's the only thing I haven't yet, nobody's been able to help me out with yet. I've had people trying to send me things, ideas. I said we have a technical consultant who might be our Indian technical director if all goes well. He's working on things and seeing how he can help us in that end too. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's happening, and I'm hoping that I know our first party is getting the technical association done because it's so important after this year, and that's been our first mandate down from my chairman. So I'm trying my best to first execute that, and once that's out of the way, that first domino falls, things can fall a bit more easier and smoother. So I mean, I'll buckle up. It's been a very exciting offseason for us. We're going to see what we can do. And I think this year in the ISL in general, it's going to be very exciting. I think there'll be a lot of transfer fees being thrown around since I think this is a very bad free agency class. It was headlined by goalkeepers, and that's all done and dusted. And I think now at this point is kind of like seeing what's out there. There's not many blue chip Indian players out there. It's more like the Edwins, who are good players, but they haven't played much, or the Isaacs or whatever. They're good players, but they haven't been really reaching the things. So, or even someone like Omi Pum that I just saw. Then something like Kerala. I should have signed Sanjeev. I was so annoyed. I texted him too late. I tried to see if Sanjeev was interested. Then by that point, he went to Kerala. I should have done it. It would be nice to have Sanjeev in the camp. But yeah. So let's see. There's a lot of things to go. I think we're moving a lot quicker than we did last year, even though we had signed by a lot of players this year. But since we have a squad, and I'm happy with them, I think they just need better training, better coaching, and that's it. Like I said, Prenjit, Paul, I'm really excited for. Henry showed signs of stuff. It's the old boys like Nanda get their form back again. We're in business, man, and I think we're still a little bit we're there, but we're just trying to get a little bit closer than we were before. So let's see, and hopefully the next time we talk, it'll be in March of next year, and we will have at least done a lot better than we've done this year.
Maybe we can talk in between as well.
Yeah, we can do gossips. We can do gossip. We can tell you how trajectory went and see how it goes. But yeah.
Well, Rohan, you've been incredibly generous with your time.
No, man. Always
really appreciate it. And we have taken a lot of your time today.
No,
you've
Sunday,
given
baby.
a lot of insights. And as you know, I'm personally invested in how my club.
I'm sorry this year sucked for you, man. It was a rough year for you as a fan. I'm sorry, man. I wish it was a little better year compared to last season.
The only way is up, and I'm looking forward to next season. And and hopefully we can speak to you again down the line, hopefully before March, and see how things are progressing. It'll be fantastic.
Well, if Leicester wins not win Premiership, if they go in the top 4, which looks like they're gonna hopefully clinch, then we have a cause to celebrate at least.
Very good result last night, so that was really a good way to end.
Keep it going.
And Chelsea if you get that link, they've got amazing facilities that they opened last year.
I don't know who the woman. There's a woman that Raj spoke to. Her name. I don't know. We'll have to see. But she's not. Is she the CEO? Do you have a woman CEO? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
I think it might have been her then. The Raj spoke to her.
Whelan, Mrs. Whelan.
I think because they're doing something in Thailand and something, that's why it's a little bit harder. But Susan Whelan, yeah. I know Raj reached out to her, so I don't know. I don't think. It seems like she's a little bit cool, but she's interested. But it's not. There are other clubs that have been really, really aggressive, like sing proposals and good proposals. But not just like a brand name thing, but like a proper association shit, like how CFG have. Might not much as an investment, but like how we have Aspire, stuff like that. But you reached out for you brought. I did my best to see if I could bring Leicester in, so you could have a Leicester Odisha, and you could float your way.
That'd be the dream team for me.
You could float your way to everybody. Oh, thank God, that would be very happy.
No, but as always, you've been incredible. Really great talking to you, and more power to you as well. You know,
King's
what
power,
you've
King's
shared with
power.
us today. Don't have any doubts. But this is my
Thank you,
personal.
Nevin, for getting my joke. Never got my joke.
Yeah,
I said King
I
power.
got it.
Thank you, Nevin. Thank you. I appreciate it.
But thank you so much for spending this time with us.
No, guys. So stay safe, guys. Always a pleasure. Anything for you guys. Nevin, keep putting your good content out there. Can I make a plug for Nevin's stuff? I'm sure it's appreciated acquired the same following for you, but please read all his works. He does a good job. He does in-depth journalism, which you don't see in general, not just in life. We're too much of talking about Kendall Jenner's new boyfriend, and Nevin's out here putting the good work out there, trying to spread the word. So if anybody listening to this, foreign, domestic, please check his stuff out. I'll retweet his latest thing on my Twitter page so you can follow it, see it. So yeah, help it out. And listen to Bharat's podcast. He's giving his best. He's the only UK expat I know Indian expat who's putting a podcast for y'all. So plug you guys. That's his podcast. 2021.
Very, very kind. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
man,
stay safe. And
yeah, man, you too, guys. Especially Nevin. He's traveling every day. I think he's drinking rum, so the rum purifies everything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, take care, guys.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.